Last week we spoke about, and today in Jummah Salah we spoke about the Bani Israel. And as you know, we have something in common in the sense that we all appreciate Yaqub alayhi salam, and those that follow Yaqub alayhi salam were given the title of course, some will say Israelites, etc. And the main thing we spoke about in today's khutbah in Jummah, as you remember, was the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave tremendous amount of favor to that given group of people. And by extension, we have also given us a favor, the favor of Iman, and the favor of many things that are blessed that come away. Last week we ended up, and just to recap very briefly, we said, وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ, that one thing we must not do is mix good and bad together. And وَتَكْتُمُ الْحَقِّ, when you know the truth, and you do not conceal the truth. At the same time, you don't flaunt the truth on others. You don't throw it on others and make it seem like you are better than them. Especially وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, in a state in which you know what you are doing. So I know what I'm doing, or you may know what you're doing, but just because we know what we're doing and what is right, we don't throw it on someone else and make them feel bad that they are doing things that may not be on that level of excellence. There is a way in which to present information. There is a way in which we should correct people's behavior. And the last thing you do is you throw it on someone. As we mentioned last week, the worst thing you can do is pick on someone for something that they are doing out of ignorance. If they're doing it intentionally and you know them, the issue is different. I'll give you a simple example. You get about 500-600 people coming here for Jummah Salah. Some of them are coming for Jummah Salah after 3 years, after 5 years. Some are coming in and they even forgot how to perform Salah. So when they perform Salah, they do things that are wrong. Like when they pick up their hand, they may look around, they do all this. Sometimes when they perform the Salah, they touch things on the side. They don't know. They haven't performed Salah for 5 years, 10 years. They forgot how to perform Salah. Now you get some brother getting angry. Brother, you must do this, you must do that, you must perform Salah like this, perform Salah like that. That poor guy does not even know how to perform Salah. He forgot how to perform Salah. And you are getting angry at him. So the Quran says, no. Yes, you may know what is right. They may be doing the wrong thing. Tell them to do the right thing, but do not tell them to do the right thing in the wrong way. Tell them to do the right thing in the right manner. Tell the brother, for example, I'll meet you after Salah, or let's have a talk. Find out where his weaknesses are, and thereafter you try to assist him. And this is a very important thing, especially in places like Utah, because many people, they say in Utah there are how many Muslims? You all know the statistics? Some say 25,000. I'm hearing this for about 7 years. I remember when they had an Eid Salah about 5 years ago at one of the major areas, they say there were roughly 7,000 to 8,000 that came. So it's not hard to say we could have about minimum 20,000-25,000 in Utah. Out of the 25,000, many of them may only come to the masjid once a year or twice a year. Some may only come to a Janazah Salah. We've been to Janazah Salah so many times, and Janazah Salah, of course, technically is not a Salah, but has a separate issue. There are so many people we've met in Janazah Salah that will tell you, I did not know there was a masjid in Utah and they are here for 5 years. It's a reality we have to deal with. So when these people come to the masjid, or when you meet them, you don't immediately tell them, brother, you must come to the masjid. Brother, this is Salah. Brother, you must this. Brother, you must... No, you have to go easy. Because when you tell them all these things, they get scared and they think that you're trying to throw religion on them. So the Quran is saying, number one, don't mix good and bad. And number two, do not conceal the truth. At the same time, we have to know on how to share the truth, so we don't offend people. And the Quran says, if you did this, inshallah, in a good way, then you will be blessed, and others will also gain tremendous amount of blessedness from you. Then we spoke about وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ, where Allah says, establish zakah, be good at giving zakah, fulfill your criteria of zakah. And it comes, if I'm not mistaken, Muhammad makes mention of this, that one of the things that will take place in the grave is that there will be a snake that will come, a bald snake. And it's making mention of how gruesome it will be that if Allah gave you money and you did not pay your zakah on it, then in the grave, this snake, its duty will be to hurt you and create tremendous amount of torment and pain. So zakah is something that we should take seriously, and many economists have said, if every Muslim gave their zakah, poverty can be removed, poverty can be eliminated. And it's something for us to reflect upon, and it is something for us to take seriously. And last week we spoke about it, and I think that is enough for us to talk about right now. And the Quran says, وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ, that be with those that take an active part in performing ruku. That means take salah seriously and try to perform your salah with jama'ah. There is one thing very important. See, people will say, I don't want to perform salah with jama'ah because maybe they don't like some people in the masjid, or they don't like the imam, or they don't like something, whatever it is. Even if your imam is a sinner and doing wrong things, perform your salah with jama'ah, and later you can go home and repeat your salah again. Let's say you don't like the imam, or the imam is doing things that are wrong. Okay, fine. But you still perform your salah. Thereafter, once you get your reward with performing salah with jama'ah, thereafter you go home and repeat your salah again. But you cannot say, I don't like the masjid, I don't like the people, I don't like the imam, or I don't like Sheikh Sagawa, so therefore I'm not coming. You can't do that. You come, you read, and thereafter you go home and you repeat your salah again, and that gives you your reward with the salah with jama'ah. But just saying, I don't want to go, or I don't want to read behind so and so, or I don't like the masjid, because that is wrong. This is the house of Allah, and you should do whatever you can to perform. That's why it says, وَرُكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. You do your job by performing salah with jama'ah. And thereafter, if you want to repeat the salah again, because the imam is a fasiq, or zindiq, or something, you are welcome to do that, and inshallah Allah will give you more reward for that. Thereafter the Quran, that way of course you don't break up the fabric of the community, inshallah. أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about here, according to some, they were regarding the Jewish scholars, and as far as the Jews are concerned, they would say one thing regarding religion and they would do something else. So there was two different criterions. For those that were in the knowledge base, they did whatever they wanted to do, or they could change the religion as they wished. And as far as those that were following are concerned, they had to do things in accordance to the book. So there were two different criterions. Another criterion they had was the wealthy could do certain things and the poor could do something else. That's why you look at some religious places you go right now, wealthy people and the influential people, they have a certain place to sit. And then those that are poor, or those that are not as fortunate as some of those that are up there, then they will sit in the back. That is why in Islam we don't have such a thing as reserved seating. We don't have such a thing as reserved seating where certain people will sit certain place and the rest of the others will sit somewhere else. That is not something we do. Of course, we understand that the one that knows most Quran, the one that knows most about deen, they should stand as closest to the imam in case something happens during the khutbah or during the salah or something. But generally we don't have reserved seating in our masajids, and we don't have a thing wherein certain people have more say than others. Generally when it comes to deen, as long as your points make sense, as long as they are based on Quran and Hadith, it will have weight, and inshallah you will be allowed to share what needs to be shared. So the Quran is saying, أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسِ, that don't become like those people, for example, they commanding good, and this applies to all of us. Maybe you have sons, maybe you have daughters, maybe you have granddaughters, maybe you have great-grandchildren, maybe you have parents. One thing we don't do is we say one thing and we do something else. So the Quran is saying, أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسِ, you're telling people to do that which is good, bilbir. وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ, but when it comes to yourself, you are forgetting. So it's very easy to tell others to do good, but you yourself are forgetting. وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ, and you are forgetting in a state wherein you yourself are reciting the Quran. So in other words, you are telling people, and you are telling people to do certain things, good things. You yourself are not doing it. And not only you are not doing it, but at the same time you are reading the Quran that is telling you to do it. So you see the contradiction. You're saying one thing, you're reading the same thing that you are saying, but you are doing something else. And when it comes to hearing the words of what you are reading, you are hearing one thing and doing the opposite of that. So there is a multi-level of contradiction that you are putting yourself through. Allah says, don't do that. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ, are you not a person of understanding? That don't you realize you must say what you do and do what you say, and try not to make a contradiction between the both. Thereafter Allah SWT says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Now after Allah gives us all this advice, Allah realizes that it's not easy for you to do all these things. Let me give you a simple example. To believe in Allah, to believe in everything, and do good things at all times is difficult. وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِآيَاتِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. It is difficult not to sell the deen. I mean, you go to a job, they tell you, you may not be able to pray today, or you must go to this certain party, even though there's alcohol being served. In other words, you are going to be put through tremendous amount of challenge. Allah says that. That's the one ayah we talked about previously. Another challenge will be, you'll always be challenged to mix good with bad and sell bad in exchange of good for worldly benefit. Another thing you'll be forced upon to do is conceal the truth. I mean, imagine, for example, you're sitting with a group of influential individuals. Everyone is influential, and someone starts laughing at the Prophet of Allah, or someone starts making fun of Allah, or they start making fun of heaven or hell, and you know that you can convince this person to do that which is good. Are you going to do it, or are you going to be afraid? Are you going to be afraid because you don't want to be looked upon as a fundamentalist, or are you afraid because it'll affect your rating in the company? Allah is saying that it's your duty, in a nice way, in a respectable way, in a dignified way, to say the truth to them. Thereafter, the aspect of salah we talked about in zakah, and being with those that are going to be part of performing our salah. The message here is simple. All these things we know, and all these things we preach to others. Allah is saying, after you did all these things, your life is going to be very, very stressed at some point. And when it becomes stressed, it's going to be like a pressure cooker that's ready to blow up. And this is what's happening to Muslims on a global level right now. They are like in this pressure cooker, and they don't know what to do. They can't turn to non-Muslims because they're laughed at. They can't turn to Muslims because they're going to be laughed at. We are pretty much in a very difficult situation. Right now, every Muslim is nafsi, nafsi. Every Muslim is for themselves. That's the way the world has been structured and designed. So Allah says, when it comes to this point, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. There are only two things you can do right now. One is make sabr and accept what is happening. For example, if you have grandchildren that are giving you a problem, what can you do? They know what is right and what is wrong. You can't keep on telling them they're not going to listen to you. All you got to make is sabr. You have sons and daughters. They're going through challenges and difficulties. What you got to do? You can't keep on saying, oh my daughter, okay, do this. Oh my son, do that. Eventually you just have to keep quiet and make sabr. You're having financial problems. How many people are you going to complain to? You can't even go to the masjids anymore. Because how much can the masjids give you? Your rent, what's the average rent nowadays? About $900, $1,000. Your average car payment, $200-300. Your average grocery bill, maybe $200-300. Minimum to survive, just to live in America is about what? Minimum $1,500 a month. And just living a basic life. Imagine, just to survive in America, and they say this is the world's most free country. They say it's the world's most free country. And just to survive, just to keep your lights on, if you don't have $1,500 in that house, you're pretty much over. You are history. You're going to have a very, very difficult time. Even if you get food stamps, even if people give you help, it's not going to be easy. That's why Allah is saying, وَاسْتَعِينُ. All you have to make is sabr. What else can you do? It's saying here, وَاسْتَعِينُ بِالصَّبْرِ. And after you make sabr, وَالصَّلَاةِ. Just perform salah and give yourself to Allah. Because you give yourself to people, they're going to laugh at you. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to say, that brother, you always want help. That sister, she always got problem. So you can't tell, there is no true friend. And if you want a true friend, get a therapist, and you're going to pay $200 a month. Or whatever you pay them. So, and that too, again, they are a friend because you're paying them. They're not there because they really like you. And after you pay them and they find your story interesting, they're going to write a book and they're going to make money on you. You pay them plus they make money on you. And this is the reality. So it says here, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. In the end, all you can do is one thing. Ask Allah for help, seek, be patient and turn to Allah by being patient. And by being patient, as you develop, every time you think of your hurt, Allah will give you a reward as if that wound is fresh. So you think about 5 years ago, so and so hurt me, but you have sabr. And when you think about that pain, it's as if that wound has opened itself again. Allah will give you reward again, just like He gave you reward back then. And 2 years ago, when you think of the guy who refused to pay you back your loan, and you make sabr, because you can't keep on asking that guy for your money back. Every time you go ask for your money, but they say money is like magic. Once you give it, it disappears. So you're going to go back and ask that person for money, and that person is going to what? He's going to, you know what he's going to tell? He's going to tell, these are going to be his words. He's going to say, what you think? I'm eating your money up? You think I'm not going to give it to you? Look at me, I've got a place to perform salah in my house. Look at my wall, I've got a Quran on the wall. You think I'm going to steal your money? That guy is not paying you for 5 years, and he's going to make you look like you are a bad person. So what it says here, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. All you can make is sabr and turn to Allah, perform your salah on time, perform your nawafil on time, and ask Allah for making things easy for you. وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. And the Quran says, وَإِنَّ, and verily it is hard and heavy, but on those that are humble. In other words, performing and doing the sabr is not easy. Performing salah is not easy. Being patient is not easy. Allah says that. Allah said, وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ. This is a major thing to do. It is difficult to do. But it's easy for the one that is khashi'een, the one that is humble. How do you become humble? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. If you want to become a successful individual in your life, and I wish I can take this advice myself. Allah gives us that advice. How can you become a humble person? Allah says it's very, very simple. When you perform your salah, just give yourself to Allah. Just give yourself to Allah. That's all you have to do. Give yourself to Him. Concentrate and realize He is my creator, He is watching me. And He wants the best for me. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. And turn away from everything that is useless. And this is the hardest thing for people to do. You ask anybody, right now you walk into the house, I mean you're a family man. How many in your family? Say, let's say there are 5 in your family. Once you walk into the house, what's the first thing happen? So-and-so called, so-and-so invited us, so-and-so didn't invite us, so-and-so has to pay the student bill, so-and-so has fees, so-and-so got cheated, so-and-so got liked, so-and-so got disliked. As soon as you walk into the house, the issues start. Everyone's house. And it is difficult to be focused. Am I right? Once you walk into any house, that's life. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. The ayah is saying, turn away from useless. Doesn't mean run away in your room. What it means is, when that person is telling you the problem, you listen to the problem, but at the same time you connect with Allah. It's very hard. So you telling me your problem, I must listen to your problem, at the same time I must connect with Allah. And that's a hard thing to do. So while the person is complaining, today I met in an accident, the car met, yes, what happened? Let's deal with the problem. Deal with them. At the same time, in the back of your mind, you are saying, oh Allah, make it easy for my son. Oh Allah, make it easy for my nephew. Oh Allah, make it easy for my daughter. So it's that double connection you have to have. That way you take care of them, but at the same time, you don't lose your iman. Your iman doesn't become weak. You don't become weak. And they don't make you depressed and a sad individual. And this is one way you gain more humbleness, more kindness, more softness, more gentleness. And anyone that has a family, this is the challenge you will have. You know, there was a brother that was saying, and he says, I have to actually leave my house. He goes to another masjid. I have to actually leave my house and go to the masjid to enjoy my salah. Why? You don't have to do that. Because how many times must you leave your house? Yes, farz salah is different. But your nawafil, perform it in your house. Make dua for those in the home. Don't run away from the house. So it says, by you doing this, turning to Allah in your, that's what the hadith says, don't turn your houses into graveyards. Don't turn your houses into graveyards. Perform salah, read Quran, make adhkar. So it says here, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Turn and seek assistance in your Allah through your patience, through your sabr. And this is a very, very difficult thing to do, إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ, except for the one that really aspires to be humble in nature. الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو رَبِّهِمْ. And those that realize that they are going to meet their Allah, that everything in this world is temporary. I mean, how many years are you going to suffer? 90 years, 100 years, 110 years, 130 years, and then it's time for you to go. So Allah says, if you know that you are going to meet Him, and we all are going to meet Him, no one has ever lived forever, so the advice Allah is giving is simple. Since we all know we're going to die, and since we all know we are going to leave this world, and since we all know that we are going to meet our Allah, and the return is inevitable, the return is realistic, the return is going to happen. Allah says, if you know of this, then being patient is not difficult. Performing salah is not difficult. Commanding good and doing good is not difficult. Giving zakah is not difficult. Performing salah is not difficult. Believing in Allah is not difficult. Following the commands and not selling the deen is not difficult. Good things are only difficult when you think you are going to live forever and you are not going to die. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us in realizing these basic things and help us focus on gaining the beauty of our deen and make us realize that all this advice in reality is given to who? It was given to the Bani Israel. It was even given to the various other groups. Even the Jews have a similar message. They talk about the same things over here as well. However, they took the message, but they did not follow it in the way they were called upon to follow it. So Allah is telling us the same thing here. Allah is saying they made a mistake. Now you don't make the same mistake they made. You learn from their mistakes. And by learning from their mistakes, inshallah, we will make good decisions, we will make good choices, and we will fill our lives, inshallah, with blessedness, not only in this world, but also, inshallah, the hereafter to come as well. As I mentioned, and just to recap about our khutbah, this life is not perfect. It cannot be perfect. You're not going to meet anyone that is perfect. You're not going to be part of anyone that is perfect. You're not going to be in a perfect relationship. You're not going to be in a perfect business transaction. Even if you go to the Kaaba right now, from here to there, it's not going to be perfect. When you are there around the Kaaba, this is the house of Allah, it can't be perfect. People are pushing, people are shoving. In other words, this life is not perfect. It requires one thing, sabr from the beginning to the end. You come into this world crying. You leave this world with the angel of death taking out your soul in a shaken state. It is sabr. Sabr from the beginning, sabr till the end. And that is something All the mature and older folks will say, sabr, sabr, sabr. Those that are young, what they say something else. They say we can fight the challenge. We can win the battle. We can win this, and forget it. Forget it. It's not about winning or losing. It's about sabr, being patient, making good decisions, helping others make decisions, and this is the continual way of our existence. And inshallah, if we did this throughout our existence, Allah will make our matters easy, make it easy for ourselves, our families, and inshallah, those around us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and guide us at all times. Wa akhir da'wan, alhamdulillah.